Let's go Broncos! Something is happening behind the scenes that could completely change the future of this franchise, and almost no one is talking about the true impact yet. While the rest of the league is distracted by superficial headlines, the Denver Broncos may be positioning themselves for a play that could instantly elevate their offense to a new level. And if this materializes as it seems, Broncos fans may be witnessing the turning point of the entire 2026 season, even before the official opening of free agency. The AFC is changing. A major competitor is demolishing everything. Star players are being released. Big contracts are crumbling. And when chaos hits the league like this, smart organizations don't panic, they react. The question is, are the Broncos about to react? Before explaining exactly why this moment is so crucial and how it could directly impact Bo Nix and the direction of the offense, like this post right now if you truly believe Denver is ready to take the next step this season. And leave a comment if you're rooting for this team, no matter what. Go Broncos! My heart bleeds orange and blue, because what I'm about to explain could determine whether this team will maintain its patience or go all in at the right time. All offseason we've been talking about the need to add another weapon around Bo Nix. We've heard the speculation. We've debated the trade scenarios. And one of the biggest names floated out there is A.J. Brown. According to Bill Barnwell of ESPN, a proposed trade package would send a second-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and Riley Moss to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for A.J. Brown and a fifth-rounder. That's not a small price. A.J. Brown is undeniably talented, but when you really break down that package, you have to ask yourself if it makes sense for this roster. Riley Moss may have drawn criticism last season, especially with some pass interference penalties, but depth at cornerback was a major strength of this defense. We saw what happened when injuries hit in previous seasons. This year, even when Pat Certain missed time with a strained pectoral muscle, the defense didn't collapse. That kind of resilience doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of depth. Giving up Riley Moss plus premium draft capital for a wide receiver carrying a $27 million cap hit is a serious gamble, especially when the Broncos' defensive identity was one of the biggest reasons for their success. That's why many insiders, including voices in Denver media, reacted quickly with skepticism. But here's where things get even more interesting. The Miami Dolphins appear to be tearing everything down, and that changes the landscape completely. They are reportedly preparing for a full rebuild, and that includes releasing Bradley Chubb and moving on from major pieces of their core. Bradley Chubb, who the Broncos originally drafted and later traded, was even drawing second-round pick interest at the deadline before Miami ultimately cut him. That tells you something about how aggressive teams might get in this shifting market. And then there's Tyreek Hill. Miami has cut him as well after a devastating leg injury, and there's speculation about where he could land. Some projections have him going back to the Kansas City Chiefs. Others link him to the Las Vegas Raiders. If he stays in the AFC West, that could dramatically reshape the division, but given his age, injury status, and the fact he still needs another surgery, it's far from a guaranteed success story for whoever signs him. But here's the real headline for Broncos country. With Miami committing to a rebuild and potentially moving on from Tua Tagovailoa, the door opens for something that could completely change Denver's offense. There is now legitimate speculation that the Broncos could have a shot at Jaylen Waddle, and this is where it gets exciting. Jaylen Waddle was already a player Denver pursued heavily at the trade deadline. At that time, the asking price was too high. But now, Miami is in asset collection mode. They don't need elite wide receiver production in a rebuilding year. They need picks. Waddle brings something this offense doesn't truly have. Yes, Marvin Mims provides blazing straight-line speed. Courtland Sutton is a reliable possession target who can move the chains. Pat Bryant thrives in the slant game. Troy Franklin is developing physically and adding muscle. But none of them consistently turn a 7-yard gain into 15 yards after the catch the way Waddle does. That's the missing element. The Broncos led the league in yards after catch last season, but much of that came off design screens. What they lack is a receiver who creates explosive plays through separation and route precision, then adds chunk yardage naturally. Waddle does that at an elite level. He consistently creates space and punishes defenses after the catch. If Denver's drafting at 30 and the price becomes a first-round pick for Jaylen Waddle, that's a conversation worth having. He's younger, dynamic, and fits perfectly into what Sean Payton wants to build around Bo Nix. And we're just at the beginning of roster movement season. With pre- and post-June 1 cuts approaching, more names will hit the market. The free agent pool may not look deep today, but that's about to change. This is the window where smart front offices capitalize on teams that waited too long to move assets. And here's where this whole situation becomes even more strategic for Denver. When a franchise like Miami openly commits to tearing things down to the studs, it sends shockwaves across the league. They're not just reshuffling pieces. They're signaling a reset. They're preparing to absorb what could be the largest dead cap hit in NFL history by moving on from their quarterback situation. And that tells you this isn't a minor adjustment, it's a full-scale rebuild. When that happens, value shifts. Players who were once considered untouchable suddenly become negotiable. That's why the Jaylen Waddle conversation isn't fantasy anymore. It's timing. At the trade deadline, the asking price was reportedly too steep. Miami believed they were still competing. Now, they're staring at a long-term reset. And when you're rebuilding, you prioritize draft capital over established production, especially at wide receiver, where a rookie contract plus development timeline aligns better with a long-term quarterback project. From Denver's perspective, this is about maximizing Bo Nix's rookie window. You've already seen flashes of what he can be. The accuracy, the mobility, the ability to operate within structure. But every young quarterback needs that one player who can tilt coverage and make life easier. Not just someone who runs fast in a straight line. Not just someone who wins contested catches. But someone defensive coordinators have to scheme around. Waddle forces adjustments. Think about what that does for the rest of the offense. Courtland Sutton sees more favorable matchups. Marvin Mims becomes even more dangerous when safeties can't cheat his way. Pat Bryant finds softer zones underneath. Troy Franklin's development accelerates because he's not being asked to carry pressure situations early. The ripple effect is massive. And remember, Denver is drafting at 30. That's a great position for depth. But how often do you find a proven, elite separator with game-breaking yards after catch ability at that spot? You're gambling on projection. With Waddle, you're investing in production. Now zoom out even further. The Broncos broke their franchise record for sacks last season. The defense has identity. The secondary depth proved its worth. That side of the ball is trending upward. The offense is where the ceiling still hasn't been reached. And when you're this close to competing in a brutal AFC, sometimes the difference between a playoff appearance and a deep run is one explosive piece. We're also entering that phase of the offseason where cuts accelerate. Pre-June 1 designations, post-June 1 restructures, this is when surprise names hit the market. The free agent pool that looks thin today could look completely different in 2 weeks. Smart teams stay flexible. They monitor cap casualties. They anticipate desperation. And let's not ignore the psychological edge here. If Miami ships Tyreek Hill elsewhere and commits to youth, and Denver swoops in for Waddle, that's a power shift. That's telling the AFC West that the Broncos are done waiting. This isn't about making noise for headlines. It's about calculated aggression. The combine is right around the corner. Evaluations will intensify. 3 weeks from free agency, front offices will start setting their boards. 66 days from the draft, decisions become real. And throughout all of it, the Broncos have options. That's the key. They're not desperate. They're positioned. And there's another layer to this that Broncos country cannot ignore. When you look at how the AFC is structured right now, it's no longer enough to simply be improved. You have to be explosive. The margin for error in this conference is razor thin. One possession, one broken tackle, one missed assignment. That's the difference between hosting a playoff game and watching from home. If Denver truly believes Bo Nix is the long-term answer, then this is the exact phase where you accelerate his growth. Young quarterbacks make their biggest leap when the game slows down for them, and the game slows down when separation is obvious before the snap and immediately after it. Jaylen Waddle consistently creates that clarity. That's not hype. That's on film. And think about the identity Sean Payton wants offensively: rhythm, timing, yards after catch, turning short gains into drive-extending plays. Waddle fits that blueprint seamlessly. This wouldn't be a panic move. It would be a precision move. The rebuild window across the league is creating opportunity. The question now is simple. Will Denver recognize the moment and strike while the leverage is finally in their favor?